Dr. Wood, author of the book Miracles in Minutes. Today I'm going to cover a concept about being a dad or being a father to 3 daughters or sons, or if you're mentoring somebody. And in a man's world is different than a woman's world, and most women won't understand it. Not to understand a man's love. I'd say God gives a man 2 arms. He gives the arm of protection to protect and defend, and he gives him an arm of, I guess, salvation or rescue, or to reach in and pull up and pull out. And he gives him eyes to watch and see and observe, of knowing when to be there, and ears of listening to hear what needs to be heard. So in the context of it is, sometimes I may at some point in your children's life, what a man has to do is let your kids suffer. And that's what I said, suffer. They get one of my daughters calls me up all panicked, and I need to come and do this and do that for her right now. And I told her, I said, first of all, I didn't get you in the situation. Those are your choices. And all of a sudden now you're calling me at the last minute and expecting me to come over and rescue you. Here's the problem with the context of this whole conversation. I didn't create the problem. There was a lot of assumptions made on your part, just assuming that you could do whatever you want upon the liberties of my personhood and financials, and make decisions without asking me. So you didn't talk to me first and just assumed I would do these things for you. And so now you're in trouble, and now you have problems, and we need to have a talk. So that was a conversation I had not too long ago with one of my daughters. But this is a scenario I had with one of my my oldest daughters a long time ago. That was teenagers, and we all have our attitudes. I had mine, and my sisters had theirs, and this is teenage years. You're going to be rebellious, and not always. Some high-spirited kids, and I have a high spirit, and my children are high-spirited, whatever. So it's just all part of, that a strong spirit's a good thing when it's used the right way, but when it goes in the wrong direction, stubborn's good until when you're stubborn about the wrong things. So my oldest daughter and I, this, like I said, a long time ago, we had a disagreement, and I was trying to have a talk with her and elucidate on the facts of life. You need to learn to listen to me. I've lived a certain length of time. I've accomplished much. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I have lived a lot longer than you have. And you don't know shit because you haven't entered the real world yet. You've been under my arms of protection, and you think you freaking know it all. I said, okay, you're gonna argue with me. I removed my arm of protection. I also removed my arm of rescue. And let your thinking, and let you take that out into the world, and you're going ready to figure out how life is. So, life will beat you up. Some people say life's a bitch. It has no mercy. It's merciless. They don't care. You can learn from me, or you can learn from life. Up to you. I love you. It may not look like it, but I love you. So, anyway, the attitude that she had, now I'm always in the background watching. So I usually get my spies or my intelligence services, called her sisters. I wish I could say my ex-wife. I get no information about how my children are doing from her every once in a while. Maybe 2 minutes out of a year of what's going on. So I have an idea to how to stay in touch with them because I can't be there 24/7. I need a feedback system to just like running a business. You can't know every employee if you have 10,000 employees. It's just not going to happen. So if you're a busy person, you have a big life, you need to quickly be able to get information, assess real time what the hell's going on, so that way you can make an action step or make a decision or how you should step in and how you should be in the situation. So anyway, I allowed the pain of life to discipline her since she would not accept my discipline. And I let her suffer, not out of cruelty. I kept my eye on her and we had conversations. And when I felt the needle of her attitude change and her thick skull open to listening again, then I'll come in and I'll help you to some degree. But I'm not going to do it for you. See, I'm going to put you under tension sometimes because the only way you get stronger is if I put you under tension. Same thing if you're training in the gym. You don't get stronger by lifting lighter weights. And sometimes I let them feel chronic struggle to some degree with only a verbal of how to figure their way out of it, because the endurance teaches them grit and persistence. This is a skill they're going to need in life. If you want a big goal, if you want a big dream, if you want something grandiose, you want something extraordinary, you want to climb that mountain, that dream, you're going to need some strength. You're going to need to have to develop some wisdom. You're going to have to learn how to figure things out when you've never been taught. See your way out of it or create your way out of the situation. And you're going to need some persistence and to remain on that mountain in spite of bad weather, in spite of life circumstances and events, in spite of what's happening to you, and figure it out. So as a father, at this point in age of my children's life, my hands of protecting them are moving off and they're learning how to protect and defend themselves. So, because if I can't always be there for them. I mean, if they're in California, how am I supposed to get there overnight? How am I supposed to get there in 2 minutes to rescue you? How am I supposed to get there in 2 minutes to protect you? I can't. So then, if I don't teach them, like a male lion or female lion would teach her cubs how to be a lion, how to be a human being, then I've left the cub, my child, defenseless in this world, and that's stupidity. You have to let them feel the consequences of life sometimes and not rescue them. Sometimes you need to let them feel the pain of their mistake, and then we're going to talk about the mistake. Now, the purpose of talking about the mistake is, what were you thinking? Or were you thinking? And what didn't you see? How did you get into this situation? And how the hell are you going to get out of it? I'll only be here as an advisor at this point, unless I feel like something's beyond you and some extraneous force out there is you're overwhelmed by real adversity or evil, then I'm going to put my foot in the ring with you and get in there with you. But if I didn't get you in the situation, sorry to say, Daddy can't always be here to get you out. And in doing that, I know some women call me cruel, you're mean, why don't you go do something about it? Don't you care about your children? Do you not love them? And the answer is, I do. I love them enough not to rescue them. I love them enough I have to sit there and watch them suffer. I see them suffering. I feel it. Sure. I don't like it. But what I know is if I don't let them develop grit, strength, courage, perseverance, and these characteristic traits, they're not going to do well in life. If Daddy comes in and does everything for you, I left you weak. I left you inept. And you're not prepared for life. I didn't love you. I disabled you. So this is understanding a man's love, and I know a lot of women don't understand that. It looks cruel to the feminine perspective. Okay? But, you got to let your kids take some bumps and some bruises and feel some pain, some consequences and suffering. And sometimes I, as a father, will introduce pain and suffering, called conflict, when they have a bad attitude. And I'm going to turn up the heat, and I'm going to bring the pressure, and I will be relentless. You will not break me, I will break you. Or I'll let life itself do the breaking for me. But what it has produced in my children are 3 young ladies who are very assertive, who are not afraid of shit, who can speak up, who can express themselves to others, who know how to not back down in a fight, whether it's with a man or a woman, how to make their needs known in life, and how to make a request. These are all important things of being human, make a request, not a demand. Demanding is, that's aggressive. A request, a powerful request, is assertive. And these things, sad to say, few people have these skills. And that's why you're an arrogant ass. It's because you lack manners. And you lack the discipline that was never given you. Like my father gave me, were those things. He would not tolerate a bad attitude. I hold doors for women, elderly people, guys, I don't care. It's called respect. I show people common courtesy. I say hello to everybody. My kids go, Dad, you know just about everybody. Why not? I grew up down south. We say hi to everybody. What's the problem? I'm acknowledging someone for their existence on this planet. I wasn't taught to be afraid of people. I was taught to be kind to people. And that's the difference in how I was brought up. And I share that because it makes a difference in the world. You can change someone's life by having courage, by expressing yourself, by being kind. But if you're afraid of people, you always hold back and you never share yourself. And that's a sad thing. Dr. Wood, have a great one.